Hey everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel. I am a woman in long-term recovery. I'm also a CARC, SERPA, rape crisis counselor, a whole bunch of bougie shit behind my name that we all know about. I want to get right into today's video because I think it's super important and I think it's going to be a long one and I don't want to bore anybody with the past details of my life. So I don't know if you guys remember, this is my friend Alex. He has been on the channel before. We talked about all types of amazing things, and due to the ways of the world recently, we'll say that, he and I decided we originally were going to do something for Pride Month, and the month kind of just ran away from both of us with work and professional stuff and personal stuff, right? And I messaged him the other day because I saw a TikTok. I feel like lately it's always like a TikTok. If you hear, Lena is losing her mind in the background, so please don't mind the kitty acting like a crazy baby. So anyway, so I found a TikTok and it was really, really disheartening to me, and I could not believe, and I remember watching it, and it actually it really bothered me that this was even possibly a thing. So what's my first thing that I do? I immediately messaged him and was like, please tell me that this is not okay and this is not happening. And he was like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, hold on, let me get some better service and let me find it and I will get it sent to you. And he was like, yeah, unfortunately it is. So today, what we plan on talking with all you beautiful people, we want to talk about transgender rights, humanity, human rights, just things of that nature, because unfortunately, this is the way our world is going, unfortunately. And I can't even believe, after everything that's gone on in this world and in my own personal life, this is where we're at, and this is the conversation that I'm feeling is the most important video I need to make with you guys right now. It just truly saddens me. So yeah. Thank you for coming back.
Of course. So I'm Alex. I am also a person who navigates recovery, and I'm also a trans male. I'm open about that. I am an educator, rural. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. So in the backwoods. So basically, I'm just the go-to guy.
Yes. Especially for me. I'm like, hey.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk today about a lot of fun, not fun things. So as we all know, crazy shit's happening in the news, right? Roe versus Wade being reversed, things we don't even want to think about. Things we only thought we were going to see in Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
So what people are not thinking about is that this also, this is a gender-based law that they just reversed, right? So that also affects trans people. It affects trans people in the sense that in my last video I talked about statistically sad things, right? That trans folks have a higher rate of sexual violence against them. So this does affect trans people. Trans folks do get pregnant through sexual assault, rape, violence, trigger warning, sorry.
No. I didn't think about that.
And,
I didn't think that.
Access to healthcare is already minimal for trans folks. So especially that. So things to talk about with that, what's happening across the U.S. right now that Jen is talking about with these TikTok videos, which always reference, always check to make sure what's going on. And this one actually happened to be, sadly, correct. So across the U.S. right now, we've heard in the news about trans youth being attacked, basically their rights. So Texas was first, shocking, I know. Nobody wants to live in Texas.
No, even people,
we're good.
I have some beautiful subscribers that live there, and they message me constantly, and they're like, I hate it here. Yes. I fucking hate it here. And I'm like, I'm sorry, come over.
They're usually, some of the first to pass some of those laws. But with this specific TikTok, it discussed this very silent law. So I'm here today to kind of open your eyes at the very least of when they pass these major bills, right? It shocks the nation. It pisses people off. You got people cheering who are terrible. But there's always mini laws that segue into these gender laws that specifically target trans people. So this one in specifically was Alabama right now just passed this law silently, really, across the U.S. that is targeting trans youth. So I want to pull it up because I want to make sure that it's correct. But it is basically, they took away transgender youth's right to gender-affirming medications. Providing gender-affirming care is now a felony. Doctors that provide the gender medications, the hormones, the treatments, right? It's now illegal in Alabama, sentenced by a felony. I mean, it's up to 10 years in prison for these doctors.
For the doctors.
For any clinics, anything like that provide this. What people are not, I mean, medication, trans youth, it's a huge debate. It's very political, so I don't want to get into that, right? But so I do want to get into the fact that they also, under this, made it so that school bathroom accessible for trans youth is no longer existent in Alabama.
I feel like that's dangerous, like physically dangerous.
It's physically dangerous for trans youth. And also LGBT students now, their teachers must out them to their parents. They must have that discussion because they also banned LGBT history and issues being discussed in all Alabama the state schools. So this is concerning.
It really deeply saddens me because I remember being a preteen and a teen and a youth and all that, and I wasn't fighting a battle within myself for my sexuality. I was fighting other battles, but it wasn't for my sexuality. And I remember being different, right? Because I never fit in because of things that were happening at home and whatnot. And I remember the bathroom was always a scary place because you never knew who was going to confront you or who was going to say what to you. And it's kind of like secluded and private because it's a bathroom, right? I can't even imagine being in that position as a transgender youth, right? First off, like, kudos to them for stepping up and saying, like, I'm not who I'm supposed to be, and I'm going to be brave enough to try and be who I'm supposed to be in this world. And as an adult and as a person who has suffered their own trauma and their own things, I commend that fully. But I can't imagine being that kid.
Right.
And then having no protection
absolutely.
At school where you're supposed to be safe.
So what we're seeing is, I mean, what's going to ultimately come out of this is going to be a mass flee, right? Parents are going to take their children, hopefully, out of this state. But what's happening is when one state does this, there tends to be a pattern of other states following. And with, again, I don't want to get into politics too much, even though that's pretty much what we're discussing.
Yeah.
With Roe versus Wade being reversed in some states, and we're lucky here in New York that there's going to be a lot of places that are, basically saying no, absolutely not. But what's happening is these silent bills that are targeting trans folks are occurring. Things are changing. I encourage anyone who lives in a rural area, New York, anywhere, to begin to think about those things and have that safety plan. Get that medication. Don't miss it. Don't wait. Go to your doctor now. Get those reevaluations done.
What about, I think,
and get your documents. That's huge. So right now it's imperative. I mean,
what about people's mental health and mental well-being? Because if you are, and as always, please correct my language if it is wrong, because I am ever learning, and this is not something I know on a daily basis. I try my hardest. I always screw up, but I'm learning. And I try to always, preface it with that because I screw up. I make mistakes. And I want everybody else to know it's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them, right? That's like the whole existence of my being. So what I'm really afraid of is for people who are on medication, like with any medication, what is going to happen if your medication is no longer accessible? What happens to your mental health? What happens to your self-esteem? What happens to your vision of your body? What happens to your life? What happens if you've newly moved to a new area after you've completed your transition and nobody knows? And now all of a sudden you are a female who's exhibiting facial hair, or vice versa. What happens then to your mental well-being and your safety? Because you live the life as you're supposed to be, not as what you were. Do you know? And I feel like
that. I mean, that's a good point. And I have to remind myself, I get a little too far ahead. I mean, just as an educational piece, gender affirming medications are way more than, I mean, obviously our mental health, right? I mean, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have access to that and to be my true self. But there's so much more than that. As a whole, okay, take the trans piece out. Hormones are important. Hormones can cause depression. Hormones can cause significant changes in your body. Hormones can cause illness if they're out of whack. Physical illness. there's a lot to be, considered here. So
Right. It's not just, see, that's the thing. Like, I think people get stuck on like the surface of it, of like, oh, it's just, you're going to have to not do this anymore and it's going to be okay and it's going to be whatever. The reason why, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why people make this change is because they're not who they're supposed to be. Their insides don't match their outsides, right? Is that a okay way to say it?
I mean, absolutely. It's just, we become our true selves.
Right. And I can't imagine all of a sudden being told like, that's not okay. Like, I know as a woman right now, I'm absolutely petrified where the world is going. And the fact that I'm raising a little woman really fucking scares me. I also know that potentially the next thing on the table alongside of these medications is my right to have contraceptive. I have an IUD. I have it for very, very personal, many reasons. My mental health was poor. My hormones were out of balance. It was affecting, I have a heart condition. It was affecting my heart condition. My medications were not going together. Like the birth control I was on was not meshing well with the heart medication. It was potentially causing me blood clots. And this was something my husband and I talked about till the cows came home of whether I was going to do this or not. And it was a very scary, painful procedure. I did not go in lightly.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, can't imagine.
None of this is lightly. I think the idea that people wake up one day and say, I want to be this,
that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, you
that's not true.
You were lucky enough to see, a lot of my journey. And it's not pretty. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have access to that. And in my last video, I spoke about having to do that footwork myself. We didn't have resources. We don't have a gender clinic. We don't have doctors that are willing to see me. And surviving the Trump era here that hit hard, where he created bills like doctors had the right to refuse care to trans folk. That affected me directly during COVID. I had no access to doctors. They refused to see me. They continued to say I was specialty care. I just got a primary care doctor about a month ago. So, and that was searching.
I have some numbers for you in case you're
searching. I mean, it's to a point where these things are happening and trans people are so resilient, so resilient, and we find our way. I mean, fun fact about trans people, we've always been here and we will always be here. We find our way and we know how to survive. But with that said, this video, I reached out to Jen and was like, we really do need to talk about this because there's this idea, right? We just ended Pride Month. Okay. I think I shocked Jen when I said, Pride Month isn't prideful for me in a sense of publicly, right? Wanting to go here and there, seeing rainbows everywhere, because there's a lot of misconception. To me, Pride Month in our area, which I choose to live here, financially not so much, but I choose to live here. But it just spotlights me throughout the entire month, and I mean spotlights. I've had people come up to me, Happy Pride Month. People who misgender, people that don't want to educate themselves on it. And spotlighting a trans person, by the way.
I was going to say, isn't it like,
that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Or being asked, my favorite, being asked to provide trainings.
Like they tokenize you.
Being tokenized, 100%. Hey, it's Pride Month. Do you mind letting people know this? Can you do this training? Can you do that? So it's really important to know that Pride Month can be difficult for those who don't have...
Okay. Hey, baby. Thank you. I was like, whoa. Sorry.
You're good. Pride Month, it can be really difficult for those who don't have community here, who don't have access to healthcare, who are constantly fighting to get their documents done because they've made it gnarly process to get it done.
And documents, I'm going to interrupt you, meaning like get your birth name changed over to your preferred name.
Correct.
Okay.
And gender.
Yes.
Across, not just, it's not, so I get this a lot. A lot of people, you changed your name. Oh, me too. I got married 3 times.
No, it's very different.
It's very, 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 very different. You have to change your gender on all of your documents, which New York State does not make very easy. But there are, side note, name change clinics. They're everywhere. Google it. It will come up with the closest one. So I actually was amazed that an entire Colgate University lawyers were doing pro bono work.
Oh my God, there's a fly. Good Lord, God forbid there's a bug in the house. Come on. Thank you. Oh, meatballs, I'm sorry.
You're right. I love cats.
I know, but she's an asshole. Okay.
Yeah, so name change clinics. Google it. It'll come up with the closest one. It's usually through colleges. So pro bono lawyers in their practice, right? They're in law school. They're actually forced to practice a specialty and to navigate these new things. So it's really awesome that I was able to sit uncomfortably a little bit, but they were super kind in front of a whole bunch of lawyers virtually, but they helped me through my entire paperwork. They helped me file it. They helped me with the fee.
I was going to ask you if there was a fee.
Yep. Oh, yes.
There is a fly. Please excuse little cat. Apparently she has no more YouTube etiquette. So I'm sorry. Okay.
So yes, name change clinics. But gender affirming healthcare is gender affirming resources in general are just so rare. Okay. Gender wellness centers around our area are really rare.
I only know of the one you told me about, and
Correct.
that's the only one that I know about.
Yep. And I was just telling Jen, it was very odd. I recently went to go renew my meds. No big deal. Been doing it for 11 plus years. And this is the first time that I was actually asked to come into the office for a reevaluation and reassessment. And it's due to policies in the making.
Can I ask you a question? What does that mean, reassessment? Like, I know what reassessment means, but in this line, was it like, hey, are you still sure type of stuff? Or was it, I'm just curious to know how far we are going on being ridiculous. I mean, because that's really what it is.
I think it's, I'm just going to use my really professional language of a cover their ass moment of, they've been giving me these meds. They want to make sure that I have a physical. I have all my documents in, all of our fun psych evals, which I have and are framed and everything. But I think it's just they're doing it more often because New York State's going to evaluate. They're going to evaluate how many people we have here. They're going to evaluate the medication process here. They're going to evaluate these things. It's very strange, and obviously one can lose their minds with paranoia in all of this fun things. So I want to talk about some happy things for trans folks to do right now while all of this is going down. Okay. We are very isolated. We are an extremely isolated population. It is so imperative to find your support system right now. If you don't have one, reach out. You send a message to Jen. I'm your family now. So it is so imperative to have those supports right now, just in general. But as things get more difficult in the United States, we've been targeted before. And I want you to know how strong we are and how brave we already have been and still are, and to be prepared for that. But support networks are key. If you can navigate your documents, again, birth certificates, if it's something you want, Google name change projects. They're amazing. They're wonderful. Go to clinics.
This makes me really sad. I just feel like how many times do the weak people have to prove how strong they are? The people in recovery, the people who are trans, the people who are gay, the people who are the outcasts, the underdogs. How much more do we have to continue to fight?
How about just in general women? Women were just targeted, and I'm infuriated. I'm just sitting here going, so, someone said that, where we live. So I'll give an example. I had a family member go, oh, stop. You're not that important. Stop. You're being ridiculous. They're not going to come after you. And I said, they went after our mother.
Yeah.
They went after our sister. They went after all of the females in our lives, the reproductive rights, anyone who has reproductive wants. Regardless of gender, they're taking that. So to think that someone who defied science and God, okay, to think that they're not going to come after us is being really
it's such a scary time to be a human being and to be a small human being.
Correct.
I did a video last week when the decision was made because I was infuriated. Yeah. And I literally was like, I have to reteach my child everything because she doesn't count as much because of her body right? Her body makes her less of a person in some people's eyes. And I cannot believe that after everything we've been through as a human race and where we've come from and how we've evolved and changed and grown, that we're literally going backwards, and I'm fucking furious.
And they keep forgetting things. I mean, what I'm absolutely baffled about is there's a Gender Identity, Respect, Dignity, and Safety Act. Okay, so hopefully I've had some happy things in here, because I want to segue into something that did hit home. Michaela Holland. So she's a trans woman that was recently violated,
Literally.
Abused physically in a local jail here. I'm not going to state it out loud so I don't have a knock on my door. But if you want more information about it, please.
I will
please
pin
search.
her information down below in the comment section. Mm-hmm. She is a woman that is local to us, that was in a local county jail, one county over from us. I don't give a shit. I'll say it. They're going to come for me one way or another because my voice is too big, right? It's who I am as a person. And they refused to treat her as needed while she was incarcerated. They refused to give her medication. They refused to do a whole slew of things.
Yes, forced a strip search, but it's imperative as well to explain that she was also physically assaulted by the correctional officers there, and to a significant point where she was brave enough to file a lawsuit.
Yeah, and she got picked up too.
Transgender legal department, and I am so proud, and I am we're gonna follow this
very closely.
For braveness. This is local. This happens here.
Yes.
This happens here. This wasn't buried under the rug finally. This has happened probably several times. There's been several survivors of trans violence in this area.
And you know what the sad part is?
And it has been picked up, and she is kicking ass.
The sad part is, like, I'm out in the community, right? I'm well known. I'm out in the community. I have made a place for myself and my people here. And I did not know about this until he shared it with me the other day. And I said, this is disgusting. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. This happened 45 minutes from where I live. This is fucking disgusting.
And it's it actually occurred in March, and it took just recently for it to be picked up, which it does. Legal system takes a while, but I am just so proud, and I needed to kind of drop that in here because thank you to her for being brave enough, because the violence is real. And we want to show that our trans youth, that we do have voices.
Absolutely.
We do win, and we do have a network out there. We just may not be able to see it in our small communities. We are here. We're not going anywhere. And, we do fight back, and we want those rights. And with that said, I mean, as the end of Pride Month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pride isn't a sticker to me. It's not floats, it's not a parade, it's a drinking fest either. It's not, to me, I am celebrating the last day of Pride because I get to wake up tomorrow morning and be, again, Alex. Just Alex. Right. Because that's what it means.
I think some people get confused with Pride, and they think of it as a celebration. And yes, I understand that. Oh, okay. And it is a celebration of sorts, but it's also like, this is how we ended up coming to the decision to do a video like this. I think people forget that it's also a very sore source of where they weren't allowed to be for so long, or how they weren't allowed to be. And there's a lot of sexual assault. During this month, unfortunately, people are assholes, and they target people, and they think it's funny or it's a rite of passage to assault someone because they're different. And I think sometimes that gets covered up by the rainbows. And
yes, please don't think that Pride Month is beautiful for those that have found a home there. But my personal experience in Pride, it raises the violence. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just targets. The spotlight term that I use is just, I have a spotlight anyways, right? I'm an open trans man in a rural area. Got it. Pride just like tenfolds that. But with the violence, exactly what Jen said is, some folks are not understanding. They slap a sticker on it and, don't have boundaries. They don't believe that we have consent, the right to consent. The fact that, murder rates are up, violent rates are up. Pride pisses people off here, by the way, in some smaller towns where they have. I've seen more times this month of shitty stickers on the back of white pride, this, that, straight
That shit
pride.
makes me sick.
It does, but it's just as Pride Month is coming to an end, I just want those who have ever felt this way, or maybe I'm the only one, to wake up tomorrow morning and remember to love themselves, and to remember that you get to be you tomorrow. You don't have to be this label that we want to be proud of and we want to scream from the mountaintops. But
You should do that every day. There shouldn't have to be a month or a week or a day or a holiday. You should be proud and prideful every day because you have walked through hell. You have had the courage to fight to become the person you are supposed to be. And I forever commend you for that, and anyone who has walked through any difficult journey, because that is some of the most difficult shit to do. And people want to criticize and say whatever. That's on them. That's their weakness showing through, that they were never fucking strong enough to do what they needed to do. Where you have been 100% always from the beginning, and you've done it in a loving and compassionate way, and you've educated other people. A lot of people just want to be mad that people don't understand them, but yet don't want to take the time to tell them why or how to teach them, because that's how we learn. And you have never been like that. You've always been open and honest. It's the first day I met you. My God. I remember having conversations with you, and then I remember in passing you said it, and I was like, wait, can you say that again? What? First off, I had no idea. We were in a training together, and I was like, this dude's really cool. I really like him, and talking, hanging out. And he kind of course, Lena, he kind of like threw me off for a second. I was like, wait, what?
That's what I do.
It's like I was not expecting that, and it takes a lot to throw me off. And I was like, "Holy shit!"
Right. It's tough. I mean, but
I've learned so much. And anytime I have a question, I'm like, again, if I screw this up, I'm sorry. Please correct me. But and I've learned so much, and I'm grateful because that has helped me help other people that I work with. It has helped me guide people, and it's made me a better person.
And it's important to allow self-disclosure when you feel safe.
Yes.
Jen and I are in the business of compassion with humans, and this training navigated your own traumas, right? And I'm sitting over here going, when do I tell them? Because how do you not explain and explore yourself in an entirety, in a vulnerability, in a vulnerable way, by leaving this giant piece out? So finally I was like, well, I guess we're gonna see.
Push her along.
We're gonna see where this goes. Hopefully this is a safe environment, and it ended up being wonderful.
Yeah.
But self-disclosures
that was like
are
3
right.
years ago.
We're old, I know. And 8 jobs later for me, and
I think 3 for me.
just keep burning those bridges. Trans folks that are open, that self-disclose, and not to discredit those who are not. Sometimes at least once a day I go, why?
Yeah.
Why do I self-disclose? However,
because it's who you are as a person.
Those who choose to,
I really want to be in the world when there's a time in life where you don't have to use words like self-disclose, because it's just what it is. Like, can we? I thought maybe we were headed in a better direction.
Me too.
But this week just totally fucked that all up for me.
So
but I want to live in a world where my child can be who she is and love who she loves, and it's no big deal. And everyone's just like, cool, that's your wife. Cool, that's your husband. Cool, that's this. Cool, that's that. I just want to live in that world, and I don't think I'm going to see it.
I mean, for me, I touched on it a little bit in the last one, but it's really important to say, like, I personally choose to disclose because in safe environments.
Well, absolutely.
Because it is in my entire makeup. Not saying trans is all who I am. I'm saying my experiences, my traumas, my mannerisms, the way that I am proud of being raised a different gender than what I am now, has directly shaped who I am. It's really important to love myself as a whole, mind, body, and soul, and that is why I choose to do that. And for me, it was something I had to navigate in the last 3 years to say, again, my professional language, fuck it.
Yes.
Send it. That's where I'm at. This is where I'm at. To live fully out as myself, it's important. I've lost family members. I've lost friends. Obviously not real friends,
right,
but
I was going to say that you've gained both.
I have gained an entire sense of myself, to be able to be centered and love myself in every experience I have, from Girl Scouts to, to everything, to not be able to have those experiences, to re-navigate what my manhood looks like, meaning what kind of man I want to be, what kind of husband I want to be, what kind of father soon, that I want to be, and things like that, to navigate that. But there's a sense of when trans people are forced to go underground with all of these things happening, you don't get to blossom into your true self. You don't get to be so vocal at work. I mean, I've been at work going, "Oh, y'all are ignorant."
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're doing right now.
I've had those moments.
Yeah. I am very well known and notorious for giving handouts at work right now. And I mean, I am a savage. I will walk past their desk and go, "Just in case you wanted a quick read." And I am the handout king, because education.
Start doing mailings.
Yeah, education is power. I mean,
yes.
I will never be mad if you try, and I'm never going to lash out on anyone either. And I have, again, family members that are significantly, transphobic. And
I was going to say ignorant, significantly
ignorant, and it's education.
It's so hard where we live because the genetic breakdown.
It's beautiful.
It's and alcoholism and addiction is rampant, and then when you sprinkle in something like this,
it exasperates it.
The ignorance sometimes is absolutely unbearable, and I have to be like, "Oh, I have to take this call. I'll be right back in," and I have to go outside and literally just take a deep breath because it's just.
It's funny. So that's me every day. No, just kidding. If you ever see me outside, just looking up and doing some deep breathing.
Yeah, it's sometimes you literally have to get your composure back about you so you can shut off one switch and turn another one on and go back in and complete the conversation. Because sometimes some of the things that I've heard in family settings while I'm trying to advocate for said person who is incarcerated or in rehab or just not coming to the table because they're too high and too embarrassed and whatever the case may be, I think to myself, my God, no wonder why they're in the situation that they're in, because it's just so
the understanding as a whole of some things that have really come a long way, like recovery and LGBT life. I mean, the education that we have now about trans folks than when I grew up. I remember I used to hitchhike to local libraries around here to find a book, and I wasn't able to find anything, and I just couldn't educate myself on who I was. And we talked about this last time, so it just spiraled into addiction, homelessness, runaway youth, and just generally being an asshole. So
I mean, but what other choice did you have?
Right.
I kind of feel like without support we flounder, right? Without community of our own, without our tribe, so to speak, we flounder. And you didn't have that on so many levels, and substance use, gender stuff, you needed it on so many levels and you didn't get it. So what else?
And back then it was
what else could you have done?
It was normal for trans folks to be kicked out of their home and no CPS involvement because it was a religious aspect. So it was the parents not being able to care. So now obviously things have changed. Well, I hope, and we're still navigating that. But
there's people like us, and I don't let anyone.
And I'm your home now.
Yes,
and your family.
I just that's unacceptable to me. I always learn so many great horrible things when we get together.
I feel like it's always so sad too. So, by the way, I'm completely happy.
Right?
I'm complete, and the family.
You have problems like everybody else, so it's the reality of it is life doesn't become amazing, but it becomes so much better. You still, that's like I say all the time. People think my life is perfect. It is far from perfect, but I'm alive. I'm sober. My kid is here.
Today,
you know what I mean?
I'm here today. I have never been self-happy. That's a struggle with trans folks just generally, right? Because we live in this world that just doesn't have room for us. And we've lost family, and we've navigated
not in my world.
dark paths and all of this. But I'm going to tell you that since making that decision of loving myself so much that I'm going to walk out my door who I am, and I'm going to say the things I am, even when they look at me and go, "Did that guy just say he was in the Girl Scouts?" Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Because by the way, if you couldn't tell, I did love my time there. Navigating things, not being able to say, talking to someone, oh, I used to play soccer. Oh, who is your coach? And, around here, I name the coach. They go, wasn't that the, yeah. Have a nice day. Things like that.
Just to be a fly on the wall.
Just having those, it was just so constant that I ended up isolating myself. I stopped talking to people within these last 3 years, and it was just so sad.
I should butt in even more now.
Right. Okay. So it was so sad that because I just felt like I couldn't ever have a conversation and be truly who I was or involve myself in that conversation. And if you know me now, I love to talk. So I just let my filter go because bad things are going to happen anyways. Good things are going to always happen when you become your true self and you stop biting your tongue. My tongue was gone for years, and now it's
so funny that you say that, because the apprehension the first time we did a video, you were so nervous and so scared. And I was like, Alex, I will never let anyone come for you. I will fucking stab them. This is not going to happen. You're going to be safe. My people are going to love you. It's going to be amazing.
And you
right?
were all very kind. Yes.
And now it's you're prepared. You're like, let's do it. Let's go. I got this. And I was like, this, and it's true. You are finding yourself more and more, and it's fucking amazing. And I feel like the more we continue on these journeys, whatever they look like for us, the more our feet become cemented to the ground of who we are, and we become more stable. Yes. And it sucks that the older you get, this happens, because this would have been great 20 years ago.
It would be nice to not lose my hair starting to do that, but it's cool.
Listen,
no,
we all have. I mean, I'm on an IUD to control my hormones, so my mental health is better. This sucks.
Hormones and mental health go hand in hand. Be kind to trans people. Yes. Medication. I mean, gender affirming healthcare and medication is not just. It's just to keep us alive. To take that away is to take a life. And that's really important. And I am here today.
I think, and I think that's the basis of this video. Do not let anyone put you in a place you don't want to be. You have people who care for you. You have people, even though they're people on a screen like us, that will do whatever they can to potentially get you whatever resources you need. Absolutely. Or connections or whatnot. Or sometimes just a message like, hey, how you doing today? Sometimes just being heard is the simplest form you can ever give someone of validating who they are. Absolutely. And I'm unbelievably grateful for you coming today and doing this. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to get all the, I'm going to get Michaela's website and any other tidbits that you want to send my way that I can
I'm going to change my ways as well from last time and provide a personal email that everybody can reach out to me personally about, especially if anywhere, but if you are local, if you are having feelings that you are trans, if you need help navigating your trans life, safety, if you just want a friend, support that knows, having zero spaces to be able to even just talk about these things can be really, really isolating. So contact me if anything, any needs, resources. I have a whole trans resource for the entire New York State that I was able to create 6 months ago. I'm very proud of that. And there's a lot of support out there. It's just so hard to see and hear when you are being constantly reminded on the news that you are nothing. But I'm here today to say you are loved, you are you, and you are brave, and I am proud of you. And I'm very thankful for Jen and having this platform because it's so important here. I am not the only one that lives here.
Yes. So I will, if you want to write down that email for me, I will pin it to this video, excuse me. And as always, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be here. I love you all dearly. And remember, we recover loudly, so those behind us do not suffer in silence. Bye, guys.